Kia ora everybody. I wanted to regale you with an interesting story of what happened to me on Friday night because, to be honest, it actually kind of blows my mind. I have never been directly involved or held responsible for a conspiracy theory. I've seen them from afar, and honestly, I laugh at them most of the time because some of them are just plain ridiculous. Like faking the moon landing, for example. It's just, yeah, why would you even bother? But at the same time, it's always fascinated me how people can be sucked into these things and how problematic they can be. So I'm going to take you on a little bit of a journey today on how I somehow became the center of a very strange conspiracy theory that would literally go to the upper echelons of power in this country. Right, so this started Friday night or early Saturday morning, like 12:30 Saturday morning, and I was doing what every good person in lockdown was doing, sitting at home in bed, scrolling through my phone because it's not like you can go out anywhere anyway. Although sitting on your phone at night is never a good thing, and scientists tell me it's a very bad way of making sure your sleep patterns are working, and I can tell you now my sleep patterns aren't working. But it was one of those things where I'm just sort of scrolling through and I get a message out of the blue, and that message was really quite strange. It implied that I somehow faked an earthquake. I'm thinking, okay, that's strange. I can't really fake an earthquake. But a comment that I'd put onto the Kawhia Facebook page that I run mentioned an earthquake because there was an earthquake. Now, you might have recognized the earthquake from when the Prime Minister was doing her stand-up and it hit down there. It was felt all over the North Island. It was decent size, but nobody got hurt, thankfully. But apparently I faked the earthquake. So I thought, okay, that's strange. Brian Tamaki did tell me that I could cause earthquakes. I just didn't realize it was quite so literal and that I had literally nothing to do with it. It just sort of happened. And then within half an hour of this message about an earthquake, I get another one telling me that they knew the truth, that I had faked a COVID case in Kawhia to try and drive up vaccination rates, and that I was a horrible person for doing so, which really kind of blew me out of the water. I'm probably a horrible person for a number of other reasons, but I've never actually faked a COVID case. It's not exactly the sort of thing that's easy to fake. And to drive up vaccination rates in a town, yeah, you could tell people that there was a COVID case because there is very much a direct correlation between, oh yeah, I'll get it eventually, and oh, it's in my backyard, I better get it now. But to fake a COVID case relies on a whole bunch of really strange steps in your belief systems to make sure that you can somehow fit it into your worldview that it's entirely possible in the first place. So under this scenario, I somehow produced a false positive case for someone within Kawhia itself. Or I talked the Waikato DHB into reporting a false positive case within Kawhia. Or I talked the Ministry of Health into reporting a false positive case within Kawhia as well. Or I told the police somehow that there was a false positive case in Kawhia because all of these organizations have been involved in this particular process. So I somehow managed to do all that. At the same time, I would have had to be in direct contact with the Ministry of Health, or I would have had to have been in direct contact with the Prime Minister's office, because the Kawhia outbreak was what led to the entire Waikato region being, one of the two cases that led the entire region into going into a full level 3 lockdown a few weeks back. That's a lot to put on one person who's really does not have that kind of authority to be able to call up the Prime Minister and go, hey, can we fake a case to get this one little community of 600 people to go out and get themselves vaccinated? That is, as far as I can see, a long walk to go through. So me personally, having to call the Prime Minister's office or talk to the Director General of Health, to have to talk to the Waikato DHB, to try and get the police involved, get the press involved, get all of this involved, and make it look like there's a positive case in town, when everybody knows that there's no really positive case in town. So the rumour mill itself can be kind of dangerous. Not only does it spread misinformation, and you have Chinese whispers which blow up out of proportion, and you get a whole bunch of different information from different sources that are not verified. What it does is it leaves a gap for people to fill in with deliberate misinformation. You have some really strong-minded groups out there at the moment who are really anti-vaccine. And don't get me wrong, I totally understand some people's hesitancy around the vaccine. Totally get it. At the same time, when you've got a group that is sitting there deliberately spreading misinformation, that is deliberately controlling the flow of information, that plays on people's anxiety. And suddenly, in cases in your community, you've got a whole bunch of anxiety. That's a really dangerous situation. It's a really dangerous situation to find yourself in, because everybody's brain and imagination goes into overload, and you end up with conspiracy theories like this one person sitting behind a computer screen somehow managed to fake a case to bring the entire region into lockdown. It's a long walk, but it's the outcome from people who are going out of their way to manipulate a group of individuals who are very anxious at the moment. And don't get me wrong, I think the whole country is feeling really anxious right now. In fact, in the last hour or so, it's just been announced the South Island has its first community case of COVID in over a year and a half, or some ridiculous number like that. But at the same time, if we are not fighting misinformation, if we are settling in and letting people keep believing this kind of crap without fighting back in some way, and that might not necessarily be a, look, you're an idiot, go out and find the information. It could be very much a case of sitting down and listening to people, or recommending ways that they could deal specifically with the issues that they've got. It doesn't all have to be very confrontational, but stopping that spread of misinformation is really important to make sure that people who aren't permanently anxious, because being permanently anxious is not very good for you. It's going to lead to some very strange thoughts, like me controlling things enough to be able to get the Prime Minister to declare your place that you live a zone that needs to be locked down. Like it's a very strange situation that we find ourselves in. But I don't know. I actually find it kind of funny, to be honest. Don't know why. I just do. I've always wanted to have the kind of notoriety where I could be the middle of a conspiracy theory, no matter how fucking stupid it is. Anyway, that's enough for me today. I just thought I'd take you on a long walk and point out how really weird things have gotten in the last couple of days. Long weekends, lockdowns, COVID spreading everywhere, traffic light systems. I think it's getting to a lot of people, and we need to find a way to relieve that tension somehow. Don't know how we're going to do it. I'm not an expert in that, and I certainly don't have the phone number of the Prime Minister to be able to make sure something like that happens. So take care of yourself, look after everybody around you, and I will talk to you later. Have a great day.